Hello, good evening, good morning, good all the things. I am Katie Brannon, and this is Tea Time True Crime with Katie. If it's your first time here, hi, welcome. I'm Katie, and I talk about true crime in a different kind of way. I am surrounded by crystals and candles and all the good vibes, even though I'm talking about very horrific things. I talk about these cases to bring advocacy and awareness. And also, by you watching or listening, you are also being the voice for the voiceless. I do appreciate it. If you like, stuff of this nature, or interested or fascinated, especially by the psychology of crime and a little bit of astrology, definitely hit the like, subscribe, and comment and share. I really appreciate you. I just have to say hello and thank you so much. I saw my subscribers are up to 175. I didn't even think I was gonna break 50, so I'm super, super excited. Welcome, welcome to, the true crime kitty cats, I like to say, because I love cats. If you don't know, I have three, Bowie, Max, and Tux. So that's about me. And I also do podcast about true crime on YouTube. I also have a TikTok channel, a Tumblr, Instagram, all the things. I'll definitely have them listed below and definitely follow. And I do appreciate you guys that have been listening and following and seeing my journey. And I feel like I'm just getting better and better. So without further ado, tonight's case is extremely heinous. We are going to be remembering a Vietnam War veteran that was just taken way too soon in a horrible, horrible way. But we're also going to talk about betrayal as well. Yes, it's sad, you guys. Warning, my video contains adult situations, not happy things, and if you are easily triggered by sadness, please do not watch my video. For those who are fascinated or interested in this kind of thing, definitely keep watching. Grab yourself some popcorn, a snack, or if you're driving, just relax and let's talk about true crime. This true crime is taking place in the Smoky Mountains, but we have to start in Manatee, Florida first. So I'm drinking tea. I'm drinking decaffeinated green tea with honey. And if you are just listening, I'm using this really cool pottery cup that I got at one of those arts and crafts kind of pop shops. Sometimes they have them at breweries and stuff like that. I love those little crafts, and people make pottery and cups, and it's all awesome. So this lady, it has skulls on it, but the skulls represent that famous painting that I believe is called Scream. Let me know down in the comments below who did that painting. I'm like having, like a brain right now. So definitely let me know. But without further ado, let's sip some hot tea. Ooh, that is money right there. I love me some green tea and honey, just keep it natural sometimes. All right, well, here we go. We're going to talk about McClancy. This information on the case came from, of course, I love the show, a segment on deadly women. Also, I took it from podcasts that I found on Apple Podcast. One I was listening to was Snapped, which is Oxygen True Crime. So there's a few podcasts about this case. I believe even Dateline covered this case. But there is not any like small time creators on YouTube have done this. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to give it my best shot to give this Vietnam veteran an honor to talk about how he was rudely and horribly taken away. The three main culprits of this case is going to be Bob McClancy, Martha McClancy, and Chuck Kazimierczak. Yes. And their birthdays, Bob, he was born October 20th, 1949. Martha McClancy, she was born October 6th, 1949. So we have two married Libras, okay? And Chuck Kozmachek, he was born 8/29, 1953. So he is a Virgo. So we have two Libras and Virgos already in this weird kind of love triangle. Bob and Martha met pretty late, like later in life. I believe they were both married before, but I really want to talk about Bob in this podcast. So I'm going to talk about Bob McClancy. Him and Martha, as you heard the first segment, they are the same age, and they were 47 years old when they were married. Bob was actually a Vietnam War veteran and also a police officer, and also became a detective. He retired early due to PTSD from being in the force and also fighting in Vietnam. Now, how he met Martha was she was a secretary, some sort of secretary involving law enforcement. Now, this all happened in Manatee, Florida, okay? Now, he has the retirement party, everything's all good, they're married, 47, totally in love, okay? Now, but Bob has a severe stress, like PTSD, due to the war, because he also was a Marine. And if you guys know, I mean, Full Metal Jacket, yeah, like that time, it's awful. Yeah. I know someone who is very close to me, and my best friend's father fought in Vietnam. And it basically was like Full Metal Jacket. I mean, kind of tamer than that, believe it. So, yeah, that's awful. Anyone listening that is a veteran, thank you so much for your service. Yeah, I don't know how you guys are amazing at what you do, protecting our country. But yeah, Bob was a Marine veteran, so a lot of PTSD, and he has prescribed medication for his PTSD. Now, in the reenactment that I saw on Deadly Women, they made it look like it was Klonopin. So, yeah, pretty strong stuff, especially if you abuse Klonopin. Well, suddenly that started happening with Bob. So before they were at Manatee County, Florida, they decided to move to Tennessee, to the Smoky Mountains, to have fresh air. It's perfect retirement place. It's beautiful, country life, farm life, and they were living quite comfortably. So all of a sudden, Martha is kind of getting tired of Bob. Okay, he kind of is. He's very, and I don't know why, because when I read about him, he seems very jovial and kind and very funny and outgoing kind of guy, But, he does have PTSD. And Martha, for some reason, she gets really tired of him, miscalculating his medication. Maybe he did take too much. So as a loving, doting wife, she started controlling the medication. Now, the timeline for this is kind of fuzzy. So the death of Bob was when he was like 56 years old. So around this time, I'm not sure how long, but around this time, his friend, he met Chuck Kozmachek. It didn't say exactly where they met. I think it was just at the veterans, at the VA, they met. And they realized that they have a lot in common. They both have the Purple Heart for fighting in the war. They're both suffering from PTSD. So Bob takes a liking to Chuck. Yeah, he does. They drink beer together, they talk, and he really trusts Chuck. Well, little did he know, who else liked Chuck was his wife, Martha Ann. Martha Ann took a big liking to this hero. He was a little younger, but, he talked about him being this decorated war vet and being a hero and like talking all macho. So Martha is, she's kind of getting tired of Bob passing out early and being a homebody. Yeah. So Martha wants to go out more. She wants to do something different. And this, oh my goodness, Martha and Chuck begin to have an affair. I know, not good. And what else is not good is that they were having the affair in Bob's home, like in the home. Like when Bob was asleep. I know, that is so good. Like, how do you make that happen? You know what I'm saying? That is so beyond disrespectful. It's bad enough you're having an affair. You already suck, okay? But being in the home and where Bob opened his home to you, because, Chuck started spending the night and being close to Bob, but then he would pass out early and Martha would, creep in the room and get her creep on, okay? Okay, so this affair is happening and it is a steamy affair, okay, between Martha and Chuck. So in Tennessee in 2006, Martha all of a sudden thinks her husband has overdosed on his PTSD medication. She actually, her and Chuck are there because they're all friends, and Bob doesn't know. That's okay. So Bob is just like he's just overdosing right now and he needs help. So Martha and Chuck, they're there and they drive him to the hospital. But apparently the hospital was not the closest hospital. Apparently they drove down to Knoxville, which is like 2 hours away. Yeah, to drive him to the hospital. He survived. Yeah, but it took 2 hours for you to for a hospital, even though a hospital is really close by. I know, it is fishy. It's not cool. Not at all. Now, not only it happens once, it happens maybe like twice. And now for the third time, weeks later, May 15th, 2006, Bob overdoses again. So all of a sudden, Chuck goes and checks on Bob because he knows Bob is on Klonopin, if that is what he's on. He's on his PTSD medication, and he knows that he's been abusing the medication. So he goes to the home to check on his friend, Bob. I say friend in air quotes, okay? So Bob's friend Chuck, discovers Bob, and he calls the police. Chuck automatically sees that Bob has deceased. He deceased in his recliner chair. Now Chuck calls the police, and there is empty pill bottle in one hand, and there is a gun, a .38 revolver in the other hand. Everything points to suicide. The horrible overdose / suicide, Bob's family, I have to say, how strong he was and how much he loved life, he would have never killed himself. I just want to state that right now. The family said no matter how bad it got, no matter how bad the nightmares got, I mean, he confided in one of his friends and was like, I am so scared that I will fall asleep and my wife will wake me up, I will grab a gun and shoot her. That's how strong the PTSD was. And he was scared, which, that's very sad. But I'm telling you right now that the family was like, there's no way he committed suicide. And what was fishy, fishy sticky, okay, was 5 months later, Chuck and Martha get married. I'm sorry, what? Yes, they get married. So Martha is not a McClancy anymore. She is that name. I'm having a hard time. Kazmachek. All right. Chuck Kazmachek and Martha marry 5 months later, and you won't believe what they do with their lives. Well, you might believe it. They literally become fraud. I mean, they start their life of just being fraud. This is where people are gonna get angry. I mean, I got really angry at this part. So Martha actually takes Bob's, the one who passed away and the one who fought for our country, like really fought for our country in Vietnam. Martha takes his Purple Heart and says, and she wears it, and says that she earned it by being in the 9/11 attacks on the Pentagon. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, she did. Then you find out that Chuck, oh man, this could have knocked me over with a feather, you guys. Chuck didn't even have PTSD. No, no, he did not have PTSD. He wanted the VA benefits, so he faked PTSD. And I'm not trying to be, judgy Miss Judge Your Pants on the journey, okay? It is because he had never, ever, he served, yes, but he never had a day in combat. He never ever saw a day in combat. I know. I know. So they would go to the VA and fake big time, like really bad injuries. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You had Martha Ann arrive in a wheelchair and act very ill and disabled. And you had like Chuck slowly moving on a cane. And they kept up with this facade for a long time. Long time. And they defrauded the government over $800,000. Yeah. Yep. Yes, they did. And you're like, well, how did they get caught? How? Well, you see, guys, Chuck told too many stories. Yeah, he told too many stories at the VA, and someone that was actually there, actually at that battle and war, called bullshit. Yeah, called bullshit, saying like, that didn't happen. I was there. You're lying. And then, of course, fact checking was going on. Yeah, so you had this married couple making bank just by defrauding the government, by, milking all these horrible like just being disabled. When there are actually people out there that are disabled, it's disgusting. It is sickening. You wonder why some people get, benefits and other people don't. People who really, really need them, they don't get them. Oh, it just angers me to no end. Okay, sorry. Woo, I got a sip of tea. I gotta calm down here. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Sorry, not sorry, Okay, so they're faking these injuries. Okay, they really are. But like I said, Chuck doesn't keep his mouth shut, and they are defrauded. They are caught, and they are sent to prison. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? While Sean's mother, Sean is Martha's son, okay, and was Bob's stepson. Okay, got that. So Martha's Ann's son is on his mother's computer. I'll just say Sean. Sean is on the mother's computer, okay? And he found something so disturbing, so macabre, he can't even believe what he's looking at. Like he realized something is very, very wrong. When he went on his mother's computer, he found these pictures. Mm-hmm. He found these pictures of Bob. Yep, dead. Yeah. And he was in very different positions. He had some positions where his arm was like folded almost behind his back. He has another position where he is like up slightly. He has one position where he's holding a gun, another one where he's not holding a gun, and it literally looks like Bob is deceased. Now, Sean loved his stepdad, Bob. Loved his stepdad. And when he saw these pictures, like, why does my mom have these? What the hell is going on? You know what I'm saying? So he actually goes to the police and gives them evidence. And then the police see it, and they're like, listen, we have to, we need to do a sting on your mom. And I will say, Sean said that was the hardest thing he had to do in his life because he loves his mother. But to kill Bob in that kind of way, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, is so, like, not only cruel, I mean, it's just cruel. I don't know. What is, like, a worse word than cruel? Let me know down in the comments below. I mean, it was torture how he died. I mean, it really was. So, and plus by someone he loves, like, that's just, like, what? It's like a knife in the chest, just twist it. So, okay, so Sean loves his stepfather, Bob, goes to the police, and they put him in a sting where they catch his mother. So he calls his mother from prison because, you know, because of fraud. And he says, "Hey, Mom, I got these pictures, and I found these pictures, and I don't know what to do with them." And she says, "You've got to delete them. You've got to delete all of them." So she could have said, "What pictures? I don't know what you're talking about," but she knew exactly what pictures. And she, like, nailed her coffin. I mean, I think so. But, of course, they need more evidence than that. Because she's just saying, delete the pictures, you know? So Chuck is spending 30 months for the disability fraud in prison. So finds out that he was the photographer. Yep. He sent those pictures to Martha. And you're wondering, like, my God, why would Chuck send those pictures to Martha? Why? She wanted to see him. She wanted to see him in different positions of death. God, that is, like, sick. This is someone you loved. This is someone you took a vow to. And you treat him like, sorry. I'm very emotional, guys. If this is your first time here, emo Katie, that is me, okay? But I mean well, sending positive energy. Okay. So Chuck actually confesses and talks about the terrible crime. Okay, here we go. We're going to the crime. Warning, it is disturbing, okay? Remember I told you they went to the hospital because Bob was overdosing not once but twice? That is because the wife, Martha, she would call it her magic dust. She would grab his prescription medication and, like, smash it up with, like, a spoon and make it, like, really, really tiny and put it in his food and his drink. And she was, like, slowly killing him. She called it the magic dust. I know, right? All I think about, like, Tinkerbell or, like, PCP or LSD, dust, magic dust. All right. So, now, it was actually, like I said, it was torture because he was so sick, and he survived, like, one of the times when they drove 2 hours to go to the damn hospital. He was writhing and suffering, and she was saying, "Oh, he mistook his medication. He mistook his medication." Yeah, I mean, she knew how to, like, you know, make it look natural too, like, because he's a PTSD victim. And remember, they were in the law enforcement, and she was with the detective, so she knew a lot about law enforcement, so she knew a lot about covering up this crime. So May 15th, 2006, Martha finally feeds him the lethal dose. So with her alibi was that Martha Ann was actually going to be headed to work. Don't know what she was doing at the time. I don't care. So she was going to work to have her alibi. And she told Chuck to come around 2 or 3 p.m. because by then, oh, he should be dead by then. He was 56 years old, by the way. So by the time Chuck actually gets there, he is not dead, people. He's alive. And he is in pain, and he is writhing, okay? And Chuck, you know, Bob's on the recliner, just, like, convulsing, writhing, I mean, just, like, pretty much dying. And Chuck just gets some, like, water, and you see Chuck, like, you know, I mean, like, Chuck gets some water, and then Bob is just like probably calling his name because he's like, Chuck. You know, I mean, I don't know, I wasn't there, but it's like, it sounds horrific. Um, but basically, Chuck was saying he was dying. He was absolutely, it was no doubt about it, he did not help his friend. In fact, he just put the recliner up and waited for him to die. That is so cruel and sick. Just to like sit there and just watch you die. Like, I mean, Bob had to know. Bob had to know his last breath that Chuck was not really his friend. And his wife was not really the love of his life. Martha Ann, excuse me, wanted it to look like a suicide, okay? So Chuck actually took pictures of the body in different angles to see what would look more like suicide. I mean, apparently, or she just wanted pictures of her dead husband. Who knows? She's sick anyway, all right? So to this day, Martha has not admitted to the murder or the involvement. Nope. No, she hasn't. But in 2013, Chuck actually pleads guilty to conspiracy for first-degree murder. Yeah, yeah, I know. Either guilt or, I'm thinking guilt, honestly. I mean, he was in prison for the fraud, and then but Martha Ann could not believe that Chuck was trying to, bring her down, like making her like the whole conspirator of everything. She didn't believe the police at all. Well, so Chuck got 25 plus years in prison, even though he cooperated with the police. All right, that's fine. You kill somebody, you fraud the government, you're a bad person, okay? But you guys, you will not believe how long it took to get Martha. All right, so Martha, it took her 9 years. I mean, law enforcement 9 years after the death of her husband Bob to finally get her convicted. She was convicted of attempted first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and her maximum sentence, oh man, they threw the book at her, 50 years in prison. Wow. Whoa. But she is eligible for parole in 2028. Can you explain that to me, folks? I don't even understand that part. Yeah, it's an awful story. It really, really upset me because you had someone who fought for our country and went through hell and back, and then you have like the love of your life slowly kill you. Yeah, they don't understand why. I mean, it may have been for greed, greed, and she married Chuck because, apparently they were stable in money, but she loved money and she wanted more. So, and she didn't want, Mr. Clancy anymore. She wanted Chuck. Yeah, Chuck was giving her the high life, apparently. Yeah, just committing fraud and being a horrible person. Yeah, okay. You went real, real far. Thank you so much for watching or listening. I really appreciate you. Please let me know what you think about, this case in the comments below. I do feel really sorry for the families that have been affected by this case. It is truly awful. And I just sending positive, beautiful energy to the loved ones affected. I'm very happy that they finally got her, and I really hope it brought the family some kind of peace. But yeah, that's really, really messed up. So yeah, if you guys want to like, subscribe, all them things, appreciate it. And you can personally email me, teatimecb@yahoo.com. Please know that you are loved. Please know that you are cherished. And remember, you are doing better than you think. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.